This is the brand new Peugeot 3008 and we've come to Italy to try it. You might not be able to tell though that it's Italy because it's raining. I love it when you come to somewhere like this and the weather is worse than it was in the UK, but there we go. So we first got a look at the new 3008 at the reveal in Paris back in May. And I think it's fair to say it kind of blew everyone away, really. It looks really, really smart and it's a completely different design to the old car, which to be honest was not a car I'd be particularly interested in driving or buying, whereas this one is. So what's different about the new 3008? Well, the main thing that Peugeot are talking about is the interior. It's their new generation of i-Cockpit. That's what they call their interiors. So you get in it and immediately everything is geared more towards the driver. So you still get the standard small Peugeot wheel that we kind of complained about at first, but you get used to after a while. But then everything else in here is quite different actually to what you get in almost every other car. So the center console, these really smart buttons, and everything is angled towards you. It feels quite sporty. The center console is quite high as well, so there's a very distinct separation between the driver and the passenger. You get these really nice touch screens as well, so there's an 8-inch touch screen for the nav and things in the middle. And then in front of you, the dials, there are no conventional dials, there's just this like 12.5-inch screen that gives you everything you need to know. So it gives you the revs, your speed, and the sat-nav guidance as well. So you get the total map in the center and the smaller kind of route guidance on the right-hand side of the screen. On the outside, again, this is a car that you might actually want to buy. The front of it is fairly standard Peugeot. It certainly looks really, really nice. But the back, I just think they've smashed it. Like, it looks really, really smart. And there are loads of hidden details as well all over the place that just, yeah, they just make it a little bit more special than anything else. So how does it drive? Well, we've tried both the manual and the automatic. First one we tried was the automatic, which is a really, really smooth gearbox actually. The changes are nice and smooth. It sets off really well, and you can put it into a manual mode as well. So there are paddles behind the steering wheel. That's okay. There's a delay between when you actually press the paddle and the change happens, but the change itself is actually pretty good. 6-speed manual, standard Peugeot. There's not much feel to it. It's not a sports car, so I don't really expect it, but it's an alright gearbox. So engines, we haven't had time to drive the petrol cars, which is a bit of a bummer, but that's sometimes just the way these things work. But we will be driving it in the UK in about a month's time. For the time being, we've driven a 2-litre diesel and the 1.6 diesel. So the 2-litre diesel is only available with an automatic. There's no option for a manual. It's a very smooth engine, very refined and very quiet, and it's got loads and loads of torque, so it feels like quite a fast little car actually. This is the 1.6 diesel, so it's got about 120 horsepower as opposed to the 2 litres 180. It's really refined, it's quite a quiet engine. It just doesn't have the torque that I was expecting from a diesel like this. And this 1.6 is going to be the best selling engine in the UK, so yeah, I think it needs more torque, to be honest. The 3008 rides really, really smartly. We're on European roads, so again, you kind of want to try it in the UK and see how it copes with our really terrible roads. But this ride's okay. It deals with sharp, small bumps really, really well. It's when the road is a bit smoother and the bumps are longer and kind of longer undulations that it starts to struggle a bit more. But the rest of the time, if you hit one sharp bump and you're in a corner or something, it doesn't unsettle it at all. As for the steering, the faster you go, the heavier it gets. But it's still fairly inert. There's no real information coming through to me, but your brain tunes in with how fast the steering is and how heavy it is quite quickly. So actually, you know where the front of the car is going to go. There's a sport button down here as well, which makes the steering even heavier. To be honest, I'm inclined to just leave that on all of the time, because it just, there's a reassuring weight to it that I really appreciate. As for the brakes are what they are. They're Peugeot brakes, but this car doesn't actually weigh very much. It weighs about 1,300 kilos, which for a car of this size is really, really good. So it doesn't need a lot of braking force to get it to a stop. But that's it really. I think we'll need a bit more time in it in the UK because on press drives like this, you don't get much time with the car. For the time being though, I think it's a really, really good car. It drives really well. You've got a good range of engines, and the design, both inside and outside, they've done a really, really good job, and it's different. That's what I like about it. It's different. so many car companies just do the same thing, whereas this is different. So yeah, good job, Peugeot.